What's the April movie about? Yes, it is a pretty cool movie. It's known as Conversation. The movie is about invasions of privacy and being alone, and what happens to people whose lives are full of bad things. We thought the story was over, but then the FBI shared video from Gene Hackman's home that had never been seen before. Fans and detectives are shocked by what it shows. Gene Hackman has always kept the cameras away, even when he was in movies that won Oscars or when he was living a private life. What did the FBI really find? Why does everyone talk about it? Gene Hackman's death was very sad. Hackman, who was 95 years old, and his wife Betsy Arakawa, who was 65 years old, were found dead in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico, on February 26, 2025. It was found that Arakawa died of hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, and Hackman died of heart disease made worse by severe Alzheimer's disease. It's possible that Arakawa died around February 11, 2025. Years she had been feeling like she had the flu and had looked online for information about her illness. She also asked for air because she was having trouble breathing. Hackman's pacemaker data showed that his heart stopped beating on February 18, 2025. This means that he lived for a few days after his wife died. The couple's bodies were found after a staff member called the police because they hadn't heard from them in a while. Hackman was found in the mudroom and Arakawa was found in the bathroom. Autopsies proved that Arakawa died of hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a rare disease that is usually deadly and is spread by rodents. Hackman had serious heart disease, including signs of previous heart attacks and Alzheimer's disease that was very far along. The hantavirus test came back negative. Investigators found dead rodents, nests, and feces in the property's sheds, which showed that rodents had been living there. On the other hand, the main house was pretty clean. Arakawa probably got hantavirus because of the mice that lived nearby. At first, the FBI thought Hackman and his wife's deaths were caused by a sad accident, but when they looked into it more, they found shocking video that shocked everyone. The FBI shares strange video from the scene. Body cam footage from Gene Hackman's home was shared between the FBI and the cops. The videos were made when police went to Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's house to check on them. It was easy to see what was going on inside the house from these images. What the video showed shocked people all over the world. The video starts when the cops arrive at the house. From the outside, the house looks like it's not being used. They were met at the gate by a worker who worked for them. She told them that Gene and Betsy hadn't been seen or heard from in a while. She said she thought something was wrong. The cops then went inside to see what was going on. As the police entered the house, the film showed a room that wasn't well lit. It looked like a mess. The place looked like it hadn't been cleaned in days because some lights were off. As they walked slowly, the police called out Jane and Betsy's names. No one picked up. A police officer found a German dog in one of the rooms. The dog stood next to a dead body. Even though it didn't bark or strike, the dog looked very guard dog-like. It stayed close and kept a close eye on the police. The dog had been there for a long time, as shown on the film. The police officer said the dog looked weak but loyal as it stayed close to Betsy's body. Gene Hackman was found in a different part of the house. The room he was in was small. Officers were seen checking on him on the video. He wasn't moving, and it was clear that he was also dead. In the video, there were no signs of a fight. It looked calm and sad. The scene in the backyard was also caught on video. 2 more dogs were found by the police. There was a dead dog, most likely because they haven't had any drink or food. The other 2 were still living, but they were really skinny. Animal control workers carefully took the dogs that were still alive. It was caught on video that the police gave the dogs water and comfort. Officers walked around the house and saw that some parts looked normal, while other parts were dirty and full of stuff. Some places, like the kitchen and living room, were not changed. But there were piles of old clothes, boxes, and newspapers in some rooms. Someone on staff said in one of the tapes that Betsy had been sick lately and had been looking up her symptoms online. Later videos showed that police looked around the outside of the buildings on the site. Rat and mouse problems were found. There were mouse droppings on old cars, storage sheds, and garages that the cameras saw. The cops had on masks and gloves. They also looked in every dark corner with flashlights. Wires that had been chewed on, old food containers, and signs that rats had made nests in these places were found. In the video, you can see FBI agents taking things from the house. They went through the papers, checked the computers, and got the phone. The police were polite and cool, and they moved slowly through each room. Some of them whispered that they were going to look through hospital records and computer logs to find out what happened in the days before the couple died. One clip showed the bedroom. Interesting. Medicines on the table, though. There were some notes and a phone nearby. The labels on the bottles were read by a police officer. Someone else picked up a notebook that had a list of things to do and some notes in it. These things were taken with them. There was nothing scary or violent in the video. In a different video, police found a phone that had a missed call from a medical center on it. The phone's timestamp showed that someone had tried to call not long before the couple was found. The police officer took the phone and said they would send it to be looked at more closely. This part of the story made it more mysterious. Scenes from the outside security cameras of the house were also shown on film. These videos showed that there had been no visitors in the days before the cops showed up. One police officer said it looked like no one had come or gone. There were no signs that someone had broken in. The gate was shut, and the front yard was quiet. The video from the body cam had sound from the police cops. They talked about how strange everything felt and how quiet the house was. One cop said it made him sad to see Betsy's body on the dog guard for so long. Someone else said that the area looked like it had sudden health problems and not signs of violence. After the local cops took over the case, the FBI came in to look into the health risks and digital clues. They looked at what the couple did on the internet, their texts, and other things. They were able to figure out what might have happened in the last few days of their lives thanks to the video. The investigation into the deaths of Hackman and his wife is taking shocking new turns every day. And when the police look at their gadgets, they find shocking information about what Betsy was looking for just days before she died. Betsy looked up her symptoms on the internet. Bessie Arakawa, who was married to the famous actor Gene Hackman, started to feel sick in early February 2025. In the beginning, it looked like a mild sickness, maybe just a cold or the flu. But as the days went by, Bessie's health started to get worse. She started to feel like she had the flu, with a cough that wouldn't go away, tiredness and shortness of breath that got worse over time. What began as something that didn't seem dangerous quickly turned into something that made Betsy more and more worried. Betsy logged onto the internet to find solutions because she was feeling very bad. Between February 8th and February 12th, just a few days, she spent a lot of time on health websites, researching flu-like symptoms and ways to improve her breathing. Her online searches show that she was feeling more and more uneasy as she tried to figure out what was wrong with her body. Reading through pages of symptoms that sounded like hers must have made her feel lost, uncertain, and maybe even scared. Betsy's search for information wasn't just because she was interested. That was a clear sign that she knew something wasn't right. While she kept looking for answers, Betsy tried to find ways to breathe better. Having trouble breathing can be scary, and it was clear that she was trying to handle her situation on her own. She might have thought that if she had the right knowledge, she could treat her symptoms at home and avoid going to the hospital. A lot of people, including Betsy, look to the internet when they are worried about their health to find answers before they decide to see a doctor. In this day and age, the huge amount of information we can find online often makes us feel strong, but it can also be dangerous. Betsy was not the only one who was sick. She also called her massage therapist and told her that she and Jean were neither feeling well. Betsy said in her message that Jean was also feeling like she had a cold and that she would have to change their massage appointment. A COVID-19 test was done on both of them and came back negative. This made them think it was probably just another seasonal illness or the flu. They likely thought, like many of us, that it was just a typical winter illness that would go away with rest and time. They had no idea that what they were facing was much worse. Not just a cold or flu, but something much worse, and it turned out that Betsy had a much less common but more dangerous illness called hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HBS. People with HBS get a virus that attacks the lungs and often makes breathing very difficult. Early symptoms like fever, muscle pain, and tiredness are a lot like the flu. This may be why Betsy thought she had a common sickness at first, but as the disease gets worse, it attacks the lungs, which makes it hard to breathe. Unfortunately, it is often too late for the person to get better by the time their symptoms get so bad that they can't breathe. The virus can be deadly, and Betsy was caught off guard by how quickly it spread. Betsy was having a hard time with her symptoms, but she kept looking for ways to make it easier for her to breathe. She was looking for breathing methods or any other tips that could help. During this time, she may have noticed how bad her condition was, but she chose to stay home because she didn't know what was wrong with her body and thought that rest and self-care would help her get better. Even though it makes sense, they made this choice because they thought she had a normal illness that could be treated without professional medical help. After all, a lot of people are in similar situations. They feel sick but don't want to go to the doctor right away because they think it would be too much. Her online searches were probably a sign that she was becoming more worried. It's easy to picture how upset she must have been as she looked through search results, hoping to find answers that would make her feel better. But even though the internet can be helpful, it's not a replacement for medical care. And it also serves as a warning of how easy it is to misinterpret our symptoms or get lost in the huge amount of information that's available online. It may seem safe to look for home remedies and self-diagnoses, but it's important to know that the internet can't give you the medical help you need for some conditions, especially rare ones. Betsy's situation was probably getting worse during these days, but she might not have realized how dangerous things were. She kept trying to take care of herself because she didn't know what was wrong with her. She thought it was just another case of the flu. This happens a lot, especially when symptoms start out mild and get worse over time. People often wait too long to see a doctor, either because they think their illness will go away on its own or because they don't realize how bad their symptoms are until it's too late. People may not be able to spot the early warning signs of rare diseases like hansevirus as easily because they are not well known or talked about publicly. Hansevirus is mostly spread by rat droppings, urine, or saliva. Most people don't know what it is unless they've been directly exposed to it. If you don't know much about the risks, it's easy to think that its signs are those of something more common, like the flu or a cold, and that it will go away on its own. Betsy's story shows how important it is to pay attention to signs that don't seem normal or that don't go away. People who feel like they have the flu might think they have the common cold or seasonal flu, but it's important to know that they could actually have one of several less common diseases. It's always best to see a doctor as soon as possible when symptoms don't go away or get better, especially if breathing is hard. Even if you want to handle things on your own, putting off medical care can sometimes have terrible results. Betsy's case also shows how dangerous it can be to get all of your medical information from the internet. It can be useful for getting general information, but it